So I came to the mall to just see what it's like over here. Went grocery shopping. The grocery stores are all open, but the rest of the malls are closed down. City's closed down. So behind me is the movie theater. See, it's all dark and closed down. And everything else I saw, everything is shut off. So I went to two different malls. Both the supermarkets on the downstairs are open. They have people checking at the front for fevers. You know, you have to come in, and I had to take off my hat so they could scan my forehead. It looks like there's still a decent amount of food. We're not understocked or anything, but the rest of the malls are just shut down. Escalators are off, elevators are off. I took the stairwell here just to see, because I was curious. Total ghost town. Everything's locked up, lights are off. So here's the city behind me. So, like, aside from all the restaurants and shopping malls, retail stores, public places all being closed, like, the biggest thing that I've noticed, the biggest difference that I've noticed here in Wuhu, and probably all throughout China, I could imagine, is how quiet everything is. Just the silence. Because China isn't typically like a very quiet place. Usually the streets are loud. You know, you hear honking horns everywhere from the cars. You hear like vendors advertising their goods, usually like over these megaphones and these pre-recorded loops just over and over, and people bargaining and haggling, and you know, there's music being played on loudspeakers, either coming from retail stores or from a whole bunch of women who've gathered together to like dance in the squares. Like, it's very common. But I mean, lately that's not the case at all. You know, it's like eerily quiet, right? That's just not typical for China at all. It's so quiet that, like, you know, I can hear my footsteps when I'm walking outside on the pavement, or you know, I don't think I've heard a car honk its horn in days. So it's really unusual. It's like this solemn silence going on. You know, again, people just aren't going out. Everything's closed up, no restaurants, nothing. But that silence, like, to me, is what's really strange. And I don't know, like, last year around this time, because this is Chinese New Year, or was Chinese New Year. So it's like the single biggest holiday in China. So think of it as like if you took Christmas and you took Thanksgiving, and combine them. That's what Chinese New Year is really about. Like, relatives coming to visit each other and having dinner together, playing card games and exchanging gifts. But this year that really kind of got canceled. Like, we went to my mother-in-law's house for Chinese New Year, and we were there with my brother-in-law as well. So it was me and my wife, my two kids, and my mother-in-law and my brother-in-law. So we celebrated together. But like, typically the days would have been, or the weeks would have been filled with like going to the aunts and the uncle's house, and they would come over and we would exchange like boxes of apples or milk or oranges or fruit, and they'd give the kids little red envelopes, hongbao, filled with money. And all that got canceled. And we'd go to like the local market stores, and they'd be stockpiled with all these like packaged goods, of like fruits and candies that you're supposed to buy to like give to relatives when you visit. And they just couldn't move it. Like, they were stuck with all that inventory because people canceled their plans to visit each other. So it really affected the Chinese New Year. And like last year around this time, on the sunny days that came like after the Chinese New Year, we'd go to the Zhongshan Park, the local big central park here, and it was filled, thousands of people, all taking advantage of the sunny days, you know, and because it's typically like really rainy and cold during this time of year. So when it's sunny, everyone wants to go out. And there was, you know, people practicing Tai Chi and doing like Beijing opera in the park, kids riding amusement rides. I mean, it was just amazing, like how many people were out. It was so lively and so filled with fun and celebration in the air.
So we see different levels of China. Here's,
you know, this year we just kind of the other day stopped by to see
like
what it was like. And I mean, it's just total contrast, right? The gates are locked, it's closed down, no one's on the streets, there's no one in the park. So when you think about last year, all these people out celebrating and enjoying the sun on a winter day, and now that's not there. And like you see, it's pretty sunny outside today, but no one's out. So I think that's like the biggest difference that we're seeing. And that's what really kind of makes, I think, like an impact that this is impacting us. And the thing is, we're in Wuhu, we're not in Wuhan, so we're not at the epicenter of this whole thing. We're probably, I don't know, 1,000 kilometers away, I'm guessing, something like that. Maybe in between Wuhan and Shanghai is where we're kind of situated. But we're still being affected. And, the thing is, I want to be clear, like, we're not being affected that much. My wife and I were talking about how blessed we really are. Like, yeah, we're stuck at home. We're not really going out much. And I mean, no one is. But, we're healthy. We have plenty of food. We have enough money to get by right now. We're not worried about that. Kids are happy. They're enjoying, like, having that extra time with their parents to be at home and play and, not worry about mom and dad going to work or them going to school or anything like that. So we're really blessed. But,
What about Logan?
when you think about, like, the stories that we hear that are going on right now in this country, it's heartbreaking.
You just say whatever Ashton says?
We heard that in Hong Kong, the people are striking, the medical staff, until Hong Kong agrees to close its borders to the mainland. And apparently, like, that resulted in not enough nurses for instance, for like the newborn ICU unit. So there's like one nurse right now having to care for like 200 babies in ICU. I mean, it's heartbreaking. Or the people in Wuhan, I mean, that's the saddest thing. We hear the stories about what's going on over there, and that city's in complete lockdown and quarantined and cut off from the rest of the world. And it seems like they're still getting food, which is great. The military's making sure that food is getting distributed evenly. I guess they were having problems with the Red Cross, but they're doing their best out there. But you feel bad for those people. Your heart goes out to them, especially like the medical staff. We're hearing stories about how they're just overworked, right? And most of them are volunteers coming from other provinces. I mean, they've really come together to help with their country and to help their their countrymen. But you hear what they're going through, and they're working tirelessly to accommodate as many people as they can. These like overcrowded hospitals, not enough beds, not enough medical supplies, not enough masks. And the whole country's run out of masks. Like, we're having to recycle the ones we have, just to kind of go outside. And I don't know if it's really necessary that we're always wearing a mask when we go outside. Practice good hand washing and be precautious. But everyone's wearing masks, and I think, like, if you're not, people get a little worried. You know what I mean? Like, you get more worried about people not wearing a mask than the people who are wearing masks. And then, of course, if you want to go into a supermarket, you have to have a mask on. They won't let you in without one. If you're going to ride public transportation, take a taxi, anything like that, they're going to want you to have a mask on. They're not going to let you on the bus without one. So, in a sense, they are required. There's just not enough of them. So we have to, figure out a way to always have a mask on hand. And of course, it kind of makes us feel a little bit safer as well. I don't know how much safer we are, but it makes us feel that way. So, when you go outside, you see everyone with a mask on. But then I think also about the people, like the businesses, right? I mean, can you imagine, if Christmas, around Christmas time, everything was locked down in America, how many businesses are relying on that holiday expenditure to kind of get them out of the red and to make their year? Well, it's the same thing out here, and businesses are closed, cinemas are closed, restaurants are closing. People are still having to pay the rent for their locations, but they have no income coming in. And then you think about these people who, really rely on that daily income to make their money so they can eat that night or they can pay their rent that month. And right now there's none of that going on. And so I don't know what it means for the country. Obviously their economy is getting hit pretty bad. Kudos to the government. They've outlined these laws to make sure that there's no price gouging for medical supplies or for food. They've made sure that, like, for instance, they've cut down the taxis to say like 10% of the fleet can be out, but they're ensuring that those drivers who are not working are still going to get paid their base pay. They extended the holiday to make sure that workers are still going to get paid an income during this time. and you wonder about like the business owners and how are they going to pay them. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of complexity that I really don't understand, but I do have to say, like, the Chinese people are really resilient, very dedicated to working this out for each other. You don't see panic in the streets. You're not seeing riots or people yelling or screaming, at least not here. Everyone seems to want to help and to be supportive of their country and get through this epidemic. So, I can't say anything bad about the Chinese people, man. I mean, they are truly a really resilient people, a very dedicated people, dedicated to fighting this epidemic. And my heart's with them, and kind of all in this together. So I just really wanted to make this video just to kind of give a perspective of what I'm seeing. It's, again, we're not in the epicenter of anything. It's just the things that I've noticed being here, or what I find kind of interesting or a little strange or eerie. So that's really what it is, right? Just around my area, no businesses open, malls closed down, no restaurants open, empty streets. But at least no external panic, I could say.